chapter 4, verse 1 and 2, saying that financial is not a forget. Hey there. Welcome to the Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast. This is where heaven's economy collides with Earth's assignments. And I am your host, Dr. Lexi Johnson, your financial rebel, your kingdom disruptor, your accountability coach into obedience. Because around here, we don't beg God for money, we align, we obey, and we dominate. So, if you're ready to steward well, think boldly, and build kingdom wealth, then let's dive in. Okay. So, right now, the headlines are very, very loud. Okay. I guess they're always loud, but they're very loud right now about war, about conflict, about Iran, about geopolitics. And listen, I am not saying that those things don't matter because they do. But what I am saying is this, that that is not the only story that's happening right now, right? Every now and then I remind you all to watch for the headlines behind the headlines, right? If you're only paying attention to what is loud, you're going to miss what's important. Because while the world is focused on conflict, economic positioning is happening, and it's happening quietly, right? So, and I just want to let you all know, like, I have my windows open and all the things, so you might hear the blinds moving. I hope you don't, but you might. If you hear that, that's what that is. Okay. I love natural lighting. I love the window open, the breeze. I love all that stuff. And I know technically in these types of things, you're not supposed to be having all that kind of noise going on, but I just like natural surroundings. Anyway, let's get back to what I was saying. So economic positioning is happening very quietly. Capital is moving, systems are shifting, pressure is building, and opportunity is forming. Okay. So today we're going to talk about what's actually happening in the economy right now. We're going to talk about why the war is overshadowing deeper financial shifts. We're going to talk about the silent conditions that are creating a wealth transfer. We're going to talk about how kingdom citizens stay focused when the world is distracted. But first, as you all know, we have our stewardship check-in. All right. So for our stewardship check-in today, I want you to pause and I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. The first is this: am I consuming headlines or am I interpreting them? Am I consuming headlines or am I interpreting them? Because there is a difference, right? There's a difference between being informed and being positioned. So if you are able to take headlines, right, the headlines that matter, and you are able to interpret them and get yourself in position, that's what you want to be doing. That's where you want to be, right? If you are consuming the headlines, but you're not taking time to dissect them, to interpret them, you're just being consumed by them. You're not being positioned, right? And you're going to miss out. Okay. There are plenty of opportunities right now in this space and time that we're in. Okay. The second question I want you to ask yourself is, how easily are you distracted by emotional narratives? How easily are you distracted by emotional narratives? The fear, the outrage, the division, all of those things keep you engaged, but not equipped, right? So we have to learn how not to be led by our emotions. Our emotions are indicators, and that's all that they are. Okay. They are not to consume us. We're not to be led by them. But if you're easily distracted by emotional narratives, you're going to miss out. right? This is why I have not, sat down and consumed news like I used to do. I think it's been since 2010 that I would actually sit down and watch a news program. I have not done that. Right now, obviously, with social media and YouTube and all these things, I'm going to see headlines, right? And it's not that I want to miss out on all the headlines. It's just the way the news is delivered, right? They're very intentional about how they want you to feel. And I don't want them to dictate to me how to feel about things, right? So for you in this season, this era, this whatever you want to call it is going to be very important that you recognize whether or not you're distracted by the emotional narratives. Okay. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. And then the third question that I want to ask you is, are you financially preparing or just watching what's happening? Because watching without action is still unprepared. Okay. Some people think that they're prepared simply by just because they know the information. Well, it's more to it than that, right? So just knowing the information doesn't mean that you're prepared. So you got to keep Proverbs 1:4 says, keep the simple from straying, give prudence to those who lack judgment. In other words, this is a season for discernment. Okay. And discernment is not something that is unreachable. You can sharpen your discernment by not being distracted. Okay. By not being led by your emotions. All these three things that we just covered. All right. So before we get into our segments, other segments for today, uh, I want to remind you all that this is the anniversary. Well, the actual day passed not too long ago, not a few days ago, but this is the anniversary season of Stop Begging God for Money. Okay. And so, in that honor, and I'm going to say more about Stop Begging God for Money at the end of the show because I want you to get your copy. Um, but until then, here is a word. Here is a word. All right, all right. Listen, that book is still, people are reading it today, and they are still sharing how impactful the book is. And so I'm grateful that the Lord saw fit to give me the message for that book. And, if you are not where you want to be in your finances, then you might want to check it out. But we'll talk more about that later. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this war, right? But not really talk about it. Because here's the thing, the war is real, but it's not the full story, right? So, yes, conflict involving Iran is impacting like the oil markets, it's impacting global stability, it's impacting investor sentiment. all of that. But here's what most people don't realize. What most people don't realize is that the economy was already weakening before this war occurred. Okay. Growth was already slowing down, debt was rising and is rising, right? Consumers were stretched and are stretched. So this war didn't create the problem. Okay. What this war is doing is it's covering the problem. Okay. So we want to look at what is really happening underneath. Okay. They are bombarding us with the stuff on Iran and just some other stuff that doesn't, at the end of the day, is not the most important issues. So we want to talk about what is really happening underneath. Okay. And I want to walk you through this very clearly. So, number one, okay, the slow growth and high costs. Let's talk about that. We are in a dangerous combination. And as I say these things are not to scare anybody. Again, we're always here not to be scared, but to be prepared, right? That's why we talk about these things. We are not here to get emotional about it or any of that, okay? We're here to identify it and then determine what we need to do as kingdom citizens, right? So we're in a dangerous combination right now of the economic growth slowing, costs still being very high, and the energy prices are rising again. And that's pressure for many people, right? Not collapse though, but sustained pressure. Okay. And how many of you know that any kind of sustained pressure is not necessarily a good thing because it could eventually lead, to some sort of breakdown, some sort of collapse, right? So that's one of the things that's going on that we need to be paying attention to, this slow growth, but we are maintaining these high costs. Another thing that we need to pay attention to is that the Fed is stuck. Yes, the Fed is stuck. How so, Dr. Lex? Listen, this is major. Um, Most people don't even understand it. So listen, normally, if the economy slows down, right, the rates also go down because they want the economy to get moving again. Okay. If inflation rises, which it has, the rates go up. Okay. But right now, we have both problems at the same time. Okay. Usually it's one or the other. Either the economy is slowing down and the rates are down, or either there's inflation and the rates are up. Right now, though, we have both of these things happening at the same time. All right. So the system is stuck. And when the system is stuck, relief is delayed, the pressure continues, and volatility increases. Okay. Slow growth, high costs, stuck system. Now, the next thing, the third thing is that there is a delayed impact effect. What am I saying? And this is something that almost nobody is talking about. So, economic pain doesn't hit immediately, right? When the oil prices rise, you don't really feel it fully today, right? You feel it in a few months. You feel it in higher goods. You feel it in reduced spending, right? You feel it in business slowdowns, right? So we are in that lag period right now, okay? Which means that if you think you are feeling a little pressure now, just wait, okay? I spent some time with family last week, and I had family members, just saying, boy, I can't wait for these gas prices to go down. And I was saying, yeah, I don't know if they're going to go down anytime soon. And if they do go down, they're not going to go down to, what we had become accustomed to, right? They're going to go down, but not back where they were. So, there's this rise in these prices for a lot of goods, for a lot of things that that are going to stay high. This is how we got from paying a few cents for bread to now paying like $3 for bread. Okay, anywhere between $1 and $3, right? If you want breads that are healthier for you, obviously you're closer to the $3 end, right? Out on average, they're probably like two something. But back in the day, bread was a few cents. Okay. But that's how that happens. It's because the prices go up. We're waiting for them to come back down. They might go down, but they don't go back down to what they were. Okay. So we're in this lag period right now. Okay. Where we're not fully feeling all of the impact right now. Okay. The other thing is that um, the gap is widening. So we are in, excuse me, I feel like I have some hair like in my eyes. We are in what's called a K shaped economy, the letter K shaped economy. And what does that mean? So if you think of the shape of the letter K, you have some people that are doing fine. Okay. You got the, I'm trying to do this with my hands, right? Some people that are doing fine. And then you got anyway, y'all know what a K looks like, right? You got some people who are doing fine. You got others who are struggling more. Now, in the higher income households, they're still spending, they're still traveling, they're still investing. Okay. In the lower and middle income households, there's cutting back, there's more use of credit, right? Because they were already tight trying to make ends meet. Okay. And now they're over with these prices having gone up. So now there's more use of credit. And these lower and middle income households are feeling pressure. And that gap between those who are doing fine right now and those who are not, that gap is growing wider. The other thing that's happening that we're not paying much attention to because we're consumed with the war and all these other emotional narratives that are going on right now, politics and its division and all of these things, right? All the hoo-ha about data centers and, you know, um, city councilors that people are angry with for not voting their way and all of that. We're getting all caught up in that. I'm not saying those things are not important, but we're getting so caught up in that we're not paying attention that money is moving. Okay. It's moving and it's moving quietly. So while you all, and I'm saying you because I don't, you are not going to find me in anybody's comments arguing about uh, red or blue, black or white, male or female. Um, you're just not going to find me in those conversations. Do I have opinions? Oh, you better believe I got opinions. Okay. But you're not going to find me getting caught up in those conversations. And I hope we don't find you getting caught up in those conversations either. See, while people are arguing online, capital is moving. Okay. And where is the capital moving to? It's moving to energy, it's moving to defense, it's moving to AI, it's moving to data infrastructure, it's moving to cybersecurity. And none of this is random. Okay. This is our positioning for the next cycle. And are you going to be, um, if we go back to the K-shaped economy, which leg on the K are you going to be? Right? Are you going to be the leg on the K that is positioned and prepared and, you know, still doing their thing? Or are you going to be on the other leg where you're not positioned and you are, feeling every bit of the negative side of what's going on in the economy, right? So, this money moving quietly, that's the real story. Okay. The war is not the main story. I know we think it is, but you only think that that's the case because that's what they're putting in front of you. This is why I pull myself away from watching news and a lot of other things because they dictate to you what you should be paying attention to, and how you should feel about it, right? It's the distraction layer. The real story is economic transition, system pressure, technological shifts, capital repositioning, and then all of those things, okay? To all of those things together is what creates this wealth transfer window. Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, and 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land. And this is exactly what we're seeing, some disasters that are coming. Okay. The disasters really should not be a surprise because this is just the way of the world, right? We have these cycles. Things are going well, then things aren't. Things are going well, and things aren't, right? We're seeing uncertainty. But when have we not seen uncertainty? We're seeing shifts, we're seeing movement. And the scriptures don't tell us as kingdom citizens to panic. The scriptures tell us to position, okay? To position. That's why it's saying, oh, invest in 7 ventures, yes, and 8, right? Because you do not know what disasters are going to come upon the land. We know they're coming. That's it. We don't know what specifically. Sometimes we don't know how. Sometimes we may have some insight into what is coming and how it's coming, but a lot of times we don't. But that still shouldn't prevent us from being prepared and being positioned. Okay. And when you allow distraction to rule, it is costing you. Let's be real. It is costing you. People are spending hours debating politics. Some of you all live for it. You can't wait to get to your phone and respond to that person who had something, an opinion opposite of yours, right? Or a fact opposite of your fact, right? You can't wait. Like you can't wait to, clock out and just, get back there. Some of you you're not even clocked out. You are on the job, engaged, spending hours debating politics, whether with the people around you, on social media, wherever the case may be. You are spending hours debating politics. You are spending hours arguing online about stuff at the end of the day that, I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all, but it's not it's not the actual thing that we should be paying attention to. Some of you are spending hours and hours consuming outrage content. You're allowing the media, whether traditional or social or whatever, to dictate to you what you should be outraged about, right? And I could go on a rant on that because these selective outrages, and all sides have them. Everybody wants to accuse the other side of being selectively outraged. Every side has it. Every side, right? So you're spending hours doing those things. But you're not spending hours building systems. You're not spending hours reducing your debt. You're not spending hours increasing your income. You're not spending hours learning strategy that is going to position you. So distraction is not neutral. It costs you. It's very expensive. It's very expensive. It's the reason why you can't move from this level in your finances to this level in your finances, right? So, how should we respond in this season? Okay, because I want to bring this home. How should we respond in this season? Well, one, we need to get out of financial vulnerability. People, listen to me. This means that we need to reduce our high interest debt. We need to stop depending on credit. Okay. Sometimes we just need to tighten up and go without some things for a little bit, right? Or go with minimal, right? There's just some things we just don't have to spend on right now. We think we have need of a lot of stuff, but a lot of the stuff you don't need, right? So we got to stop depending on credit. We got to stop. Well, we have to build stability. That's what I'm saying. Okay. We have to build stability. That should be first and foremost. That should be what you're focused on, not trying to hurry up and get to, a comment that you need to respond to about things that at the end of the day are going to cost you, right? You need to build liquidity. Why do you need to build liquidity? Because in this day and age, people are still having the same excuses of, I can't, I just can't save, right? I just don't have enough left over to save. And that's the problem, because you're leaving it as a leftover. It is not a priority, right? The importance of having liquidity. Cash gives you flexibility, it gives you peace, it gives you opportunity. They the statistics say, and I forget the percentage, but majority of the people, or a lot of people, don't even have enough to cover an emergency that is up to $1,000. That will that sets many people back, right? So instead of coming home or even sitting where you are on your job or whatever and responding in all these conversations and going back and forth, causing division and all kinds of mess, getting involved in the selective outrage, instead of doing that, why don't you pick up a side gig, right? How quick can you get to $1,000 in your emergency savings? And if you already have 1,000, how quick can you get to two? And if you already have two, how quick can you get to four? How about paying attention to that, right? And if you already have four, how quick can you get to eight? Right? So on and so forth. Because that will give you some flexibility. It's going to give you peace. It's going to give you opportunity. The next thing that we ought to be doing is increasing our income capacity. This is what I was leading into here. Your skills matter more right now, right? Sharpen those skills, expand your earning ability. It is not enough to have one 9 to 5 linear job, right? It's not enough. Okay. That was number 3, increase your income capacity. Number 4, pay attention to where your money is flowing. Please sit and remove the emotion out of your spending. Many of you are in trouble because you are making decisions emotionally. You are all over the place, doing all kinds of things for all kinds of people out of emotion, right? When you need to be making these decisions very strategically. I could do a whole episode on that too, right? And then number 5, finally, stay focused. And this may be the most important one of them all, because the opportunity window is open, but distraction is everywhere. Distraction is everywhere. So you have to be decided. Decide today whether you are going to continue to be distracted and allow it to cost you now and in the future, or if you're going to be focused and pay attention to the opportunities that are available. Many people who come into wealth are made in times like this, in times of uncertainty, in times of chaos, in times of, whatever. I mean, just look at their stories, look at the timing things began to happen for them. Same can happen for you if you are focused on the right things. All right. So if this episode is shifting your perspective, if you're realizing that you need to see money differently, then this is the perfect time. We are celebrating the anniversary of my book, Stop Begging God for Money. And this book is going to help you break financial passivity. Whew, way too many people caught up in that. It's going to help you understand kingdom stewardship, which is that over everything, right? It's going to help you shift your mindset about money, and it's going to help you move into strategic action. Okay. So if you have not gotten your copy in the year that it's been out, go and get your copy now. Okay. You can do that on my website, authorlexijohnson.com. That's authorlexijohnson.com. Go grab your copy of Stop Begging God for Money, authorlexijohnson.com. I hope later this evening to be able to come live just to talk about the book specifically. I wanted to do it last night, but just had some other things to take care of and pay attention to. And so hopefully I'll have an opportunity to do that tonight, because I want to share with you a little bit more about the book, but I want to share with you the impact that it's been having on people in this year, right? So you understand it, you can experience the same thing, right? And I'll leave it there. The final thing I want to say regarding this episode is that the world is loud right now, okay? But wealth is built in quiet decisions. Mhm. It's built in discipline, in positioning, in preparation. It's built in focus. So don't get caught watching what's happening that you miss what you should be doing. Okay? Don't get caught up in these major headlines. They're calling them major, but many of the times they are distractions. You need to be watching the headlines behind the headlines. Okay? So that's a wrap for today's episode of the Radical Godly Stewardship Podcast. I am Dr. Lexi Johnson, and I'm reminding you to produce, to multiply, and dominate. And until next time, y'all, stay out the distraction. Stay out of the distractions. Stay out of the headlines. Stay out of those blaring headlines. Okay? God bless. We'll see you next time.